Good morning. This is an impromptu video because I woke up this morning to seeing something that I think people might be interested in. It might seem a bit confusing that I'm interested in, so interested in what's happening in Canada. But they're kind of ahead of the game in the shit fight that's I hate SJW, but the SJ, I use it interchangeably with the word, like, this little fucking cult, right, that I've talked about. But it's really taken hold in Canada, where they're passing laws that are nonsensical, that just sort of aren't well thought through. They're sort of knee-jerk inclusion, all of that sort of stuff, and it's just sort of imploding there. So So what happened this morning was something that is a little bit sort of schadenfreude, I think, for quite a few people who have fallen victim to what others call cancel culture. And now, so I'll explain what that is, but first off, I will say what's happening. I'm not prepared for this, but whatever. Okay, so Justin Trudeau is the Prime Minister of Canada, and he has put forward quite a lot of, let's just say, not thought out, touchy-feely kinds of policies. Jessica Yaniv is the is one of those direct examples of of this stuff. But so Trudeau is very progressive when it suits him, like most rich boys. And he's sort of the quintessential woke bloke, right? And so now the context of that has to, it exists within the context of what's going on online. And this is why it interests me, which is this idea that you can bypass justice, bypass the legal system, make a claim, have it go viral, and somebody gets cancelled, right? So it's a form of mob justice. Let's be clear, this is vigilantism. This is mass... Yes. So basically, I'm trying to, Harvey Weinstein is a good example of cancel culture, I suppose, right? Bring down the bad guy. Nobody's going to disagree with that. However, that's what the legal system's for. So the problem, this is where it becomes complicated for me, because, and it links directly to Trudeau, which is that thing where when it's someone you agree with, they get a pass, and when it's someone that you don't agree with, they get fucking cancelled and their lives destroyed and their careers destroyed. The hypocrisy of this is the thing. So I do not participate or celebrate the cancelling of anybody. I am going to laugh at this, but I think that the legal system and the political system needs to work this out through the appropriate processes. This is not okay. And this is why this is interesting, because he is the patron saint of woke. So I think there's a bit of a halo effect going on here. He's the handsome, your typical woke bloke, right? It's crazy. It's funny. So, quick context. I can go into a bit more detail. I'm going to go into more detail at some point about cancel culture and the theory behind it. It is, but effectively, it's mob justice. So, what started with I think what everyone would agree with, exposing, sexual assaults, they've gradually just started to turn on softer and softer targets, to the point where, I actually want to do a video on this. Your everyday person could easily find themselves on the wrong side of this, right? So, because of the nature of the videos that I make, I actually literally have a plan for if I or my husband or whatever become a target. So I'm going to share that stuff so that, if you find yourself on the wrong side of this stuff, that you at least have some sort of plan, because it's inevitable. And that's why this is funny. And that's why I feel the need to talk about it in the moment, because there is a little bit of, let's see how this goes. because the patron saint of woke fucking whatever is his base are those who are the most guilty of this type of behavior, right? So a photo has surfaced as soon as I find my overlay of Justin Trudeau in 2001, I might add, right? That's a long time ago for anybody who's watching. He's this guy in the middle. He's the brown guy in the middle there, right? Let's ignore the hand. That's a bit creepy. They seem to have sort of ignored the hand, and yeah, there's a lot of creepiness going on. But whatever. Okay, this has surfaced. He's 29. And it's worth mentioning that he's the son of a former minister. I don't know the details, but I do know that he's one of those sort of it's in the family kind of guys. So he should have known better, right? He was the son of a minister at the time, and this is it's just funny, right? I don't care. I think that dragging up people's old fucking photos and tweets and stuff and using that as evidence that they're a terrible person and shouldn't, this is exactly the problem, right? That's not okay. But yeah, I read that book. B posted a comment and said that this book is so you've been publicly shamed. Yeah, it's one of those things where you've really got to, yeah. So, yeah, I know comments tend to distract me, so I change gears. So this has happened, and I'm sitting here laughing a little bit because it's one of those sort of those where it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because on one hand, a picture has surfaced that if it had been anybody else, so anybody who is not Trudeau, any other politician who's conservative or old left, not completely woke and not in the cult, they would have been dragged and fired and defamed and just ruthlessly and destroyed by this mob, right? But I don't advocate for this, by the way. I'm just laughing at it. I think it's a disgusting behaviour, and I think that the rule of law applies to citizens, and that, you know, like, that's okay. But, you know, he should have known better, which is fine. I'm not judging it. I think, you know, like, I'm of the view that I think people, it's just, you got to take people on their people are fucking, everyone's got skeletons and everyone says shit in the heat of the moment. Everyone does things in a bad relationship that they wouldn't ordinarily do. Everybody behaves in a certain way when they're in a bad state. That's, you know, we've got to have a little bit more understanding and compassion for people in that sense. But it's actually just more the fact that he has turned a blind eye to this culture, right? And he's actually benefited from it. So in a large part, he's made a lot of these people his base, and that's where it becomes funny. So that's where you start to go, okay, this is funny, all right? So it's kind of a watch and wait to see what happens. I don't think that, to see if Trudeau gets a free pass or not, right? I want him, what I'm hoping happens is that there's now a broader conversation, because what's actually happening is that they're not just turning on public figures at the moment, they're turning on ordinary people. They're turning on just, you know, like a YouTuber that they like, but then they suddenly just turn. They're like, if they're fucking, you know, hippos eat their fucking own, right? They're just vicious. It's vicious, vicious, vicious. And it is against everything that democracy and democratic process should be about. So I'm opposed to cancel culture. I'm opposed to the culture of harassment under the guise of social justice, and it needs to stop. Like, if you watch what happened with Evergreen College, if you look at what happens, you know, with Antifa, they're justifying all sorts of bullshit fucking behaviour, right? That is just not okay, right? And I've talked about this before. Parent your fucking children, all right? But the thing is, everyone's got blackface in their fucking, metaphorically speaking, for the fucking simpletons in my audience, that, like, you know, Metaphorically, we've all got that fucking thing. I've got old tweets and Facebook rants. I've got old fucking things that I thought were funny because I was a kid. I've got old things. Like, everyone does, right? That's the reality, is that we've all got it and we're all fair game and we're heading into an Orwellian nightmare of mob rule, right? So that's what we're talking about here. The fact that Trudeau is currently the trending topic is sort of moot, irrelevant, but it's just a good opportunity to just quickly talk about this. Now, it is worth saying that last night I did receive what I perceived as a threat because of what I had said. I don't ever target anybody. All I do is talk about the issues, and I try to make a joke, and I just say my mind. I never do engage in targeted stuff. So it's not just celebrities. That's what makes the paper, but there are a number of people that I know who have been targeted and are cancelled and are unfairly treated because this fucking mob have too much power and too much control. And I'm hoping that... I hope they act like fucking hypocrites with Trudeau and try to fucking scramble and find excuses for him, right? And try to find a way to forgive him. And it might actually wake a few people up as to the hypocrisy that's going on here. Okay, so, what I found interesting is that the mob's gone. They're just losing their fucking minds over 18-year-old like photos in a lapse in judgment. Again, blackface doesn't hold the same. Can't speak for Canada, but I know that it's cultural. It's about context. Like, we use the word cunt here a lot. Without, it's Americans get offended over a lot of fucking things that other people don't. So it's worth, Canadians could, I'd like it actually if my Canadian friends could comment on that, because I know for us, it was, you might remember that old, Hey Hey It's Saturday. Remember that first real, I think that was actually one of those first internet outrage things where Harry Connick Jr. appeared on Red Faces, and one of the acts did blackface, and he was absolutely horrified, and he just, but Australians, we just were having a laugh and we didn't think and stuff. So there is that cultural difference. So again, I don't know if Canada, at the time I imagined blackface was okay in Canada. I'm not sure. I don't think I think it's neither here nor there. I think this is just another fucking American cultural imperialist fucking thing where they try to impose everything that offends them onto everyone else. And just, but, that much is probably another, anyway. So, anyway, this was a quick one. I just wanted to point out what happened. And so basically, it's going to be interesting to see what's going on. Cancel culture is something that we need to look at. Don't participate in it. If you're watching this, please don't participate in it. If you agree with, especially if you find yourself agreeing with, don't be a hypocrite, right? Just don't be hypocritical. Be consistent in your thinking and actions, right? So what's good for someone I think is a Nazi is good for someone that I think that wears blackface and is problematic. So if you can't have it both ways, right? You need to be consistent. Just be consistent, right? So you can cancel everybody and acknowledge that you're an asshole and part of a mob and a cult, or you can admit that you're a hypocrite. Okay, it's okay to destroy that person's life over there, but it's not okay to destroy that person's life over there because that agrees with my politics. That's not okay. Okay, especially given that blackface, I don't know whether it was, it's the same as Australia, but it was only really offensive when American culture bled into ours. So we're not really able to laugh anymore, which is unfortunate. But I'm going to sit back and I'm going to laugh at this. And I'm going to watch the left fucking eat itself as usual. And I hope that these bastards get out of my house soon and that this is over and that everybody just sees that this mob is indiscriminate. One tweet and they can destroy your career. They can just make one phone call, you get on the wrong side of someone and, the tweet that I got last night was basically like, don't sign your tweets. It was basically an implied threat that they knew my name. I was like, yeah, come on then, fucker. You can't do anything, Like, whatever. I don't give a fuck. But the thing is that they're coming after people, like a lot of people, and they're also particularly targeting gender critical women. So I just want to make a point that they don't generally go after the men. They go after the women, and they threaten their lives and their jobs and their careers. And they are really, really targeted in this stuff. And again, I'm not saying that social justice is a problem. I'm saying that the SJW cult are dangerous and they are harmful. So this is very much linked to what I've been talking about recently. And it's all, again, this is just a quick video, but just be mindful of being intellectually consistent. If you start saying it's, you're a pacifist, unless someone is a Nazi, then you need to really check yourself, right? Or cancel culture is not okay when it's on my side, but it's perfectly fine if you've been branded X, Y, Z. It's not okay because most of the people that have been branded with those terms are not those things, right? This is a manipulation, and it is toxic, and it's threatening our institutions that we have, we've got to start fighting for this stuff. So, so they're not just targeting, the tall poppy and, again, people love to tear down the successful, but it's not just that. They're moving their target more and more and more and more and killing, it's fucking Animal Farm, man. Sorry, I got my stutter. Animal Farm. Read it. It's moving. It's constantly moving, okay? This is what's happening. And the pigs are taking over. I'm sure there's a fucking fat positivity joke there somewhere. I can say that. I was fat and I'm fat. Shut the fuck up. I understand. Stop distorting feminism, you dickheads. Anyway, I gotta go. I just thought that it was a funny thing, and let's watch and wait. I'll do something a bit more structured on this very soon. I do want to do a quick video on for employers about what to do in the event that somebody calls you and you find an employee on the other side of this. So, because Paul very well rightly pointed out that when I got that threat last night, and I said, well, what would happen if they, because they know we're married, and what if they would call your work? And he'd say they'd have no idea. So I think it might be worth doing some content around what to do as a business owner with employees, and how to be some awareness around what's actually going on, because I think that if you can stop it at that point, you can mitigate some of the damage, right? So believe your employee when they say that they're just a target, because it's usually true, okay? Anyway, I gotta go. Thanks for watching. I love you. Bye. Thank you for listening to my face hole. Goodbye.